In the courtroom, the judge looked over the old man and let out a laugh. He thought he was poor and worthless, but the judge had no idea who he was dealing with. The old man made one phone call, and within minutes, everything changed. The courtroom was buzzing as the next case was called. State versus Henry Collins, charged with trespassing on private property. A man, clearly elderly, stepped slowly into the courtroom. His posture was hunched, his steps shaky. People in the room turned to look. Some smirked, others whispered to each other. The man wore clothes that had clearly seen better days and leaned heavily on a wooden cane. Despite his appearance, there was something sharp in his eyes, something not to be ignored. The judge raised an eyebrow. "Mr. Collins," he said, a hint of mockery in his tone, "you've come before me before, haven't you? And for the same offense, trespassing." The old man stood still, his voice calm and steady. "Yes, Your Honor, that's right." "So you didn't learn your lesson the first time?" the judge asked, clearly irritated. "You broke the law again, despite knowing the consequences?" "Your Honor," the man said gently, "I went back to the same land. It's where I grew up. My father used to work there. That place holds memories for me, real ones. I didn't go to harm anyone." The judge scoffed. "You can't just wander wherever you please because it feels familiar. That land is privately owned now. The law is the law." "I understand, Your Honor," the man replied, nodding slowly. "Then why did you go there again?" the judge pressed. "Because I had to. There was something important I needed to see," the old man answered quietly. A quiet murmur spread through the room. The judge narrowed his eyes. "You needed to see something? What does that even mean?" he asked, visibly annoyed. "Your Honor, I'm not here to make excuses," the man said. "I'm just telling the truth." The judge leaned forward, glaring. "You do realize trespassing can result in jail time, correct?" The old man nodded once. "Yes, I'm aware. Can I make a quick phone call before we continue?" "This is a courtroom, not a phone booth," the judge snapped. "It's just to let my daughter know," the man replied, "in case I don't come home today." The judge sighed and waved his hand. "Fine, make it quick." The man picked up the courtroom phone, dialed a number, and said quietly, "Catherine, it's me. You can come in now." He hung up and turned back to the judge. Moments later, the doors to the courtroom swung open. A well-dressed woman entered, accompanied by two suited men carrying thick folders. She walked confidently, heading straight for the front. "Dad, are you all right?" she asked, placing a gentle hand on the man's shoulder. The judge's eyes widened. "Wait a minute. Is that Catherine Collins, the CEO of CINS Holdings?" Someone in the room whispered. Gasps echoed throughout the courtroom. Catherine turned to the judge. "You treated my father like he was nothing," she said coldly. She placed a document in front of the judge. "What is this?" the judge asked, confused. "It's proof that the property my father was accused of trespassing on is in the process of being purchased by him," she replied. "My father is Henry Collins, the founder and former chairman of Collins Holdings." The judge's expression shifted from smug to stunned. He flipped through the document quickly, his hands trembling. I wasn't aware," the judge muttered. "Of course not," Catherine replied. "You didn't bother to ask." She continued, "My father visited the property twice as part of the negotiation process. He was removed both times. When he tried to explain, no one listened." The judge cleared his throat. "So, this was all a misunderstanding?" "No," she said firmly. "This was discrimination based on appearance. You saw an old man and assumed he was worthless." Gasps filled the courtroom again. The judge tried to gather himself. "Well, in light of this new evidence," he paused, "the court finds the defendant not guilty. All charges are dismissed." The old man nodded, expression unreadable. "I appreciate the decision," he said, "but your judgment came too late." Catherine stepped forward again. "You embarrassed my father. You judged him without knowing who he was." The judge looked down, silent. Catherine wasn't finished. "There's something else you should know," she said, placing another folder on the bench. "My father's company has been funding justice reform programs across the country." She leaned in slightly. "This courtroom, this very bench you sit behind, was part of a recent donation." More gasps. The judge looked pale. The old man stood taller now, strength returning to his frame. "I came back to that land because I needed to see how much things had changed," he said. "Turns out, not much has." He paused, looking the judge directly in the eyes. "You thought I was just an old poor man," he said slowly. "And because of that, you never even tried to understand who I really was." With that, Catherine took her father's arm and helped him walk out of the courtroom. Outside, reporters waited. The story was already spreading. The judge sat silently, shattered by what had just unfolded. That day, power shifted, not just in the courtroom, but in every person watching who learned the same lesson. Never judge a book by its cover.